Hercules. Ah yes, Greek mythologies. Now that's a subject that can make things quite interesting. With the numerous of tales about the gods and all the fantastical creatures, it could bring up both some great challenges and endless possibilities to create an amazing modern adaptation of these timeless tales. Over the years, we have seen plenty of projects presenting their own versions of these stories, from video games to TV shows, and of course, a whole bunch of movies. In animation, there have been some different attempts like Fantasia's Pastoral Symphony segment, but none have gotten the same massive popularity as the 1997 animated feature by Disney, which to this day is still one of the most famous interpretations of the Greek myths in pop culture. So now that we'll be putting Hercules in some new labors, will the movie go the distance to become a Disney classic, or will it require a lot more training than expected? Let's find out. The story. Okay, let's get something straight here. When we're entering into something that's called Disney's Hercules, it's a given that it won't be accurate to how it was told in Greek mythology. Since it is an animated feature aimed for families, it will avoid some of the more adult info about the gods and switch a few things up. In other words, Disney managed to control Zeus's hormones. So what the crew decided to do with the story instead is to create a superhero movie, where the tale of Hercules would parallel more to the plot of Superman, including a supernatural human-shaped being raised by normal parents, the discovery that the protagonist's origins makes him more than a man, and the lesson of how to be a true hero. In a way, this is where the film can be more of a hit and miss. The issue with the plotline is that it does make the movie rather predictable. Since this is a Disney film, it does make you aware that the characters will have their happy ending, and on top of that, the romance angle between Hercules and Megara is simply cliched. Like, it follows every obvious outcome that would come from it.
How do you know what I'm like?
All I know is you're the most amazing person with weak ankles I've ever met.
However, the one upside that this story has is in the execution. The way it's presented here is a more lively and comedic tone. Like, it is aware that it's not going by the book, so why not have some fun and go nuts with Herc? While it is true that there could never be a dull moment in this film, the humor can be more of a mix. Be aware that this contains a whole bunch of pop culture references that some can already count as dated. This is one of the main reasons why it's not in the writing that would make this a funny film, but rather the actors' performances, which I'll get to later. The story of Hercules is a noble tale, but not a great tale. The animation. The big significance with the animation of this film is that it goes outside of the usual Disney style. What this one does differently is that the directors, John Musker and Ron Clements, decided to bring in cartoonist Gerald Scraff as the production designer, since they find his art style shares some similarities to the art done in ancient Greece. A great example of his style is the artwork he has done for Pink Floyd's The Wall. When incorporating it to a Disney film, however, the results don't always hit its mark. Allow me to explain. Scraff's design can be categorized as more abstract and caricatured, like something that goes outside the realms of reality. This style looks great on the more fantasy-oriented elements like the gods and the monsters that Herc has to fight, but on the human characters, it doesn't suit them well, looking more like Hades' minions than just regular people. I understand about keeping the designs consistent, but what makes them not look right is how they would move in a more realistic manner. Now, it is true that the character animation is still very well done, but it feels like it's just clashing two styles that aren't meant to work together. But again, that's just on the human characters. Thankfully, the design and the movements can cooperate when it comes to the mythological aspects of the feature, like the variety of creatures and the gods themselves, presenting a strong use of creativity, colors, a variety of effects, and draftsmanship.
Meg.
Speak of the devil.
Meg, my little flower, my little bird, my little nut. Meg. What exactly happened here?
As for the backgrounds, they don't stand out as much as the gods, but they are still well done with the clouds in Olympus, the simple landscapes and Greek architecture in the world of the living, and the dark alleys of the underworld. It is also worth noting that the film would also use some computer animation, most notably on the Hydra and some of the buildings during the first act of the film. While they are nicely designed, you can still tell that it's early CGI that doesn't fully blend with its environment. This wouldn't be Disney's strongest use of animation, but it still counts as some great visuals. The characters. This is a rather interesting take on the characters, because with how they can be, they either enhance the viewing experience or distract people from the movie itself. I'll just get to the problem with the characters out of the way. It's that almost everybody feels like they want to be the standout comedic performance. Like, instead of working with each other, they're battling for the spotlight to be the show stealer. I mean, I understand the roles of Phil, Pain and Panic, and Pegasus, since they are assigned to be the assistant comic reliefs, but then you also got others that are trying to be funny, like their roles aren't enough for them. Whether it be the eccentric Zeus, the smart aleck Meg, or the hotshot Hades, it brings the movie in a scenario where it feels like there are too many cooks working on the comedy and not enough straight men to balance it out. The only one that's not trying to be funny is Herc himself, but he does end up being the generic protagonist that's just looking for where he belongs in life. With all that said though, even with these flaws, it doesn't stop the cast from being highly enjoyable. One of the best aspects of the feature is the voice acting, since the delivery and ad-libbing is what sells the comedy and fully form the characters as who we know them today. The great standout performances include Danny DeVito as Phil,
but that flush slug in the heel is! He barely gets nicked there once and kaboom! He's history.
Susan Egan as Meg,
Hercules. He comes on with his big innocent farm boy routine, but I could see through that in a Peloponnesian minute.
and of course, James Woods as Hades.
Well, they're just fine. You know, a little dark, a little gloomy, and as always, hey, full of dead people. What are you gonna do?
What makes these characters great is that many of them are also well written. The film takes the time to establish their backstory, their goals in life, their motivation, and the arc they experience throughout the movie. This is why one of the most memorable aspects that people will get out of this film includes a favorite character. Sure, there are too many comedians on stage, and it has a dull hero, but at least the characters make this movie a lot of fun. The songs. In the context of the movie, turning a Greek story into a Broadway-style cabaret is an odd choice. But I can't deny that they are individually great. The whole theme of the song is meant to be a throwback to the golden age of musicals, most notably, the use of gospel music by the Muses. Their roles are meant to be the narrators to set the comedic musical tone of the movie with songs like The Gospel Truth at the start, Zero to Hero in the middle, and A Star is Born at the end.
And then along came Zeus, he hurled his thumb to the pole. He's out, locked those suckers in our bones. That's right, and it was a kid with his act out back. Zero to hero, you know time flies. Zero to hero, just like that. Shouted from the mountain tops. A star is born. It's a time for pulling out the stops. A star is born.
There is one song that is a bit in the similar veins of the gospel ones, since the Muses were in as the background singers, and that is I Won't Say I'm in Love, an enjoyable love ballad where Meg is fighting with herself, denying the idea that she would be in love with her.
No way, I won't say you don't know. You swoon, you sigh, why deny it?
As for the remaining songs, there's One Last Hope that's more like the classical Broadway-style song that also acts as a montage where Phil trains Herc in order to become a godlike hero.
That kind who wins trophies won't settle for low fees, at least semi-pro fees. But I get the greenhorn.
And finally, there's Go the Distance, the Disney-style motivational song that really nails the mood it's trying to set up. With a great build-up and the theme of finding purpose in life, it stands as one of Disney's most inspiring songs.
I am on my way. I can go the distance. I don't care how far. Somehow I'll be strong.
Sure, as a soundtrack, it's a weird mix of songs, but individually and in the context of the film, the music is a real powerhouse. It may be one of the weaker films from the Disney Renaissance, but it's still an enjoyable Disney film nonetheless. Hercules would take the legendary Greek myths and turn them into a fun animated feature. Not as perfect as some of the studio's previous works from the early 1990s, but would still present creative and unique animation, some lovable characters, and great songs. This is one of those films that's just meant to be put on the screen and have a good time, have a few laughs, and maybe sing the songs. You know, it's a good party movie. I know this one has some flaws that are noticeable, but I just can't help but feel like the good parts are so memorable that it does make me forgive the issues. Besides, if there's one group that should be thankful for this movie's existence, it should be the Kingdom Hearts fans for having the Olympus Coliseum appear in almost every game. Hey guys, this is AniMat's. I just want to start off by giving a huge thanks to Red Bandit 101 for his amazing support on Patreon, which allowed him to get so many great rewards, including this review of Hercules. Now, whenever I would think back about Hercules, there is one massive flaw that I didn't even mention in my review that really does hinder me from saying like, oh, this is such a great Disney film. And that is mostly the fact that it doesn't necessarily have a focus. Now, what I mean by that is that it doesn't know what should be the main component of it. It doesn't know if it should be about the humor, if it should be about the characters, if it should be the Gerald Scraff art style, if it should be about the songs. It just feels more like a jumbled up mess more than something that all the components are working together. And the reason why I didn't mention this in my review is mainly because this is a problem that really reflects overall on the movie than just individually on the different components. Because you got each component, like, they are great, they are well crafted individually, but they're not working well together in a sense that they really want to be the highlight of the film. It's like, this character wants to be the highlight. No, this piece of animation wants to be the highlight. No, this song wants to be the highlight. It's like they're focusing on their own thing to try to be so grand, so fun, try to be the one thing that people want to remember from this film, but ultimately, it kind of screws itself over in a sense, where that's why nowadays when people would think about Hercules, they only think more about a lot of the individual components more so than just overall the movie itself. Like, you're going to hear a lot of people who will talk about how they love characters like Hades, how they love Phil, how they love Meg, how they love many of the songs like I Won't Say I'm in Love, how they love Zero to Hero, how they love Go the Distance, how they love some of the pieces of animation done by the artists at Disney, but never as a whole in terms of the movie. So this is one of those films where individually the components are great, and that's why I kind of still gave this movie a great review, because, you know, there's still a lot of fun components, but altogether it's just, it might need a little more work to cooperate in order to form this one big picture. But again, that's just one other criticism about the film. Overall, it is still enjoyable to watch. It's still fun. You know, it's an enjoyable popcorn flick that you can check out with your friends, and you know, just have a blast with it. So I think that's the ultimate purpose with Hercules. But anyways, now that Herc is over, it is now time that we go and move on to the animation hat. And before I get things started with the next one, I just want to say right now that if you guys would like to be like the band did, and you want to go and support my work and get some awesome rewards at the same time, including watching my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. So, with all that said, let's go and pick out... okay, well, we got one. Alright. I'm getting pretty good at it, so I'm proud of myself. So anyways, the next review shall be... What the... Whoa, there's a lot of words. That's a lot of words. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. Now, I don't know if this would be the correct time to actually do this one, but oh my god. Still, it is going to be pretty interesting to watch the animated film based on what many people say to be the worst Christmas song of all time.
When we found her Christmas morning at the scene of the attack, she had hoof prints on her forehead and incrimination.
Okay, fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.